Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy. Before I get into the channeled message, I want to let you know that I've opened up personal readings for a limited period. I'm going to leave details in the pinned comment below. The first card I have in front of me is the Knight of Swords. And as it landed, I heard the truth is coming in hot. Okay? The card that represents what's crossing you is the Six of Cups. It actually flashed out as I was shuffling earlier. And the thought that came to me, through this energy, I suppose, was who else, when entering this world of spirituality, was expecting love and light? Like that life would be lighter as a spiritual person. I am definitely one of those people. And more I'm finding that an understanding of the truth and this access that we have to the truth means that you actually have to come to terms with the really darker, more ugly aspects of everything. I'd like to call this a sense of responsibility, is what it seems to come with. And so in a sense, this opening up of one's awareness is actually so that you can learn how to handle the truth. Because once you have it, and once you understand it, it can almost make you feel sick, trying to hide from it and trying to pretend it's not there. And so when I'm looking at these two cards together, what I'm seeing, and I've got the Hierophant under the deck, what I'm seeing is that the truth is coming in hot, but you still want to, be nice and for things to be pleasant. Another thing that's coming up for me is we seem to be living in this world with these two extremes. There is, on one side of the spectrum, the side where everything is being distorted. False narratives have been coming up quite a lot. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got, those who only want to pretend that everything is just either very nice, very pretty, nicely wrapped, or they're presenting like this juicy information, if you know what I mean. Kind of how I'd like to see the media. The challenge is that neither of these two represent the truth. I'm seeing the truth as sitting right in the middle. Things are juicy. Things are dark. There is also a very bright aspect to it because, number one, it's true, so it feels true. It's more peaceful because you can work with the truth. You can't work with distortion very easily. And you also can't work with something that's not going to bring progress, being something that's purely juicy or, interesting but not really helpful. In the recent past, I have the Five of Swords and the Two of Cups, which to me is looking like where we're coming from, being, making the truth sound nice because it feels good. Okay? This actually does equate to false narratives. But what I want to say right now is when I came to do this reading, I had my hopes. I was hoping for something personal, something that is easily relatable, something that you'd hear that can sort of help you in your daily life, something that feels alive to you. What I'm noticing more and more, okay, I'm grateful for every message, but what I'm noticing more and more is that we are actually in a great transition as humanity. This topic of truth, how it's been distorted and how this is being corrected and how this is affecting us in our daily lives, because it almost feels like a handbrake turn, and it's like that screeching sound and that dizzy feeling as it turns. I've never done one of these. I'm just imagining it. But it feels like that. We are doing a very sudden redirection. And I can't help but think that we're going through some kind of training to be able to handle the truth and deliver the truth and transmit it and to be part of the change. In a time that nobody could have timed, it was inevitable. I think we all know that this time was inevitable, but this is affecting us at all levels of life. Whether you're interacting with the media or interacting with a false friend or interacting with an organization where things are just taking a turn or whatever it is, it's as if we're being trained on how to, express ourselves, process the truth, even when it's ugly. And essentially, what's coming up for me is this idea that an ugly truth creates discomfort. But the discomfort of a hidden truth that is ugly is way more damaging. I just had a vision, and it was like a double vision with the same message. The first one was, I don't know how you all experienced COVID incoming around the world, but there was this idea, at least in Johannesburg, with all the butterflies everywhere. There were these omens, from nature that were actually basically indicating change, how sort of animals react before humans are aware of something. And the other vision I got was, I've heard stories, let's say, about that tsunami that happened in Thailand a number of years back now, where the animals started sort of making their way inland and reacting before people were aware of what was coming. That's how I feel the ugly truth is landing on us right now. It's as if, everyone wants to run for cover. It's almost like we represent the reaction of nature before there's this huge event. And the way I'm seeing this is almost like, those of us that are conscious and connected and aware. It's as if we've always known that this time was coming. We just haven't, been able to say exactly what it will look like. And even picturing how things will unfold is almost like it's hard to imagine. It's unimaginable because some of these systems and structures and the way that they're presented and the way that they are treated in the world can make one almost want to believe that nothing can be done about them, that they're almost too stubborn and too rigid and too set and have been around too long for a change to happen. And I saw the tower as I was shuffling a number of times as well. And this tower was not landing on me like a mind shifting, sort of perspective shifting event. That was there, but it actually felt like it would have the impact of an earthquake, like a natural disaster, like that impact, not on a physical level, but yes, from a physical level. What I mean by that is an earthquake can be life-shattering. Any natural disaster. What's happening in the world right now, and I did not know I was walking into this kind of reading. What's happening in the world, or what's about to happen in the world, is going to have a similar impact, at least on people's lives and minds. I want to share this message with caution. I don't want to alarm anyone. What I'm not getting is like death. I'm not getting like physical death here. Okay, but I am getting life altering. I am definitely getting life altering. At this point, I want to say, I think we're all aware that a lot is being revealed around the world on many levels. I think we are already aware of that. I'd be a bit tone deaf to just announce that like we don't know. But I don't think we are fully aware of the impact that this is going to have, and some event that is looming, that is inevitable, similar to like how a natural disaster is. Obviously, it doesn't just happen suddenly, it's only visible suddenly. And so naturally things are going to unfold in a sudden nature, and it's going to have like a domino effect or a ripple effect on a whole lot of other systems. So there's a truth coming to light that is going to affect world systems. I think that what I'm seeing is, again, something we all know. We all know that there is a system that's running the world. Perhaps this is what we've called a conspiracy theory for a long time. I think, I keep saying I think because I'm seeing this and I'm just like, admittedly, my mind is moving through this in an interesting way. I think we know that. I think we know that there's this system that is governed in a certain way, sort of underground. And I think we know that a lot of the systems we use to survive and to understand what to expect tomorrow, how to work, I think we know these are linked. But I think that we aren't aware that if one thing changes underground, the other things that it determines, that the underground determines, will be affected. It feels like a lapse in judgment born of denial. It feels like we haven't read it wrong, but that we're struggling to see exactly how this will affect us, or struggling to come to terms with that. I think this is what we don't want to say. I'm going to tell you now that this is one of those readings where I'm curious whether I'm going to post it or not. I only have 6 cards in front of me so far. You can see them all, but it's one of those readings. They sort of just told me to calm down. I've just put the Temperance card down and I've got the Magician and the 9 of Cups in front of me as well. This calm down is almost like, remember what was said earlier in this same reading around a hidden truth being more dangerous while it's concealed. Another thing they're showing me, you know, there's that sometimes that fear of being stranded, and so you don't want change to happen out of the fear that you'll be left stranded. What they're saying is, for many, many years, they're calling these people light workers. So I'm just going to go with that term. For many, many years, light workers in various professions and, you know, with various skills and at various levels of society have been awakened in preparation for this time. And so while your front mind, don't know why they're calling it that, might have you thinking that you'll be left stranded. However, with this underground layer, there is another layer, a more truthfully governed layer that is already ready for this change. And they're saying, in fact, it is this layer that has created, manifested what presents as a disaster, but is actually a blessing. I never understood the Magician card and the 9 of Cups when I pulled them in this near future position. I couldn't understand how it is that we're manifesting independence, but that's what it is. Underneath the deck, I have the 8 of Cups, which has been coming up lately. But what the 8 of Cups is saying, and it talks about walking away from something that you once loved, but with an understanding that you're headed in a direction that is going to be better for you. Okay? And I also saw the 3 of Cups, which was telling me that this new way, whatever this is more community-based, more community-centric. the Five of Pentacles in the subconscious is really just reiterating this idea of the fear of uncertainty and disadvantage and alienation. I don't remember what word I used earlier. But what's coming up is like struggle, isolation. Let me get some clarity. Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, so this is around, that there'll be no growth, that there'll be no prosperity, that there'll be no comfort. All of these things, as if like a fear of a regression of, these comforts that we've enjoyed, let's say around housing, technology, connection, all of those kinds of things that have allowed us to be more connected to each other, that sense of safety, that sort of is in the subconscious of the human mind, that is resisting the change, even amongst those of us who know that the change is inevitable. You know what I can hear in the room right now? When I say in the room, I'm talking about amongst all of us here that are listening. I can hear almost a wish that I deliver this message more directly. And what I want to say to that is, and I'm not excluded, when I'm speaking with you, I'm not speaking at you. I'm right here with you. But what I want to say to that is, first of all, what I just said now makes me feel like I'm a ventriloquist. But the way I'm delivering this message is just as this message is intended. Delivering it in any more or with any more specificity would take away from the truth of how this event will be experienced, whether that is with regards to time, just how it's going to manifest, okay? All of those things. Some will be similar amongst us and some will be felt on a very individual level. And I also risk sounding like an alarmist, which means I could, jeopardize this channel and this video, whatever that looks like. This is just how this message is designed. In the position of advice, I have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. This spoke to me very quickly, and what it's saying is, don't insist on a gradual approach. Okay, what they mean by that is, as you figure out things, as you have the truth revealed to you, as you understand what's in front of you and what's happening, and you know what needs to happen next, they're saying don't delay. Don't be part of the resistance, is actually what they're trying to describe. You will have the truth revealed to you as you're ready to use it, is what they're saying. And so they're showing me like a plaster being ripped off. Don't pull it gradually. Don't pull it slowly and gradually, because that has two possible results. Either you'll want to just patch it back up because it's just too painful. I'm so sorry to deliver this message. Or you will just prolong the pain and cause other disruptions that are unnecessary. They're also presenting some of these truths that are going to be revealed not as, they're not huge chunks at a time. I think what they're appealing to is the psyche. They're appealing to the psyche to not revert to comfort. Okay? And they're saying that you're ready for this. And they're saying that these words, all of this, is really not to alarm you. It's actually to prepare your psyche so that this doesn't feel more painful than it needs to be, because it's for the greater good. And everything is going to be okay. I'm so glad I heard that. You know what they just showed me? You know, like Lego, where you get one of those really complicated boxes of Lego. There are two things. Yes, it looks super complicated. Yes, it looks like it's going to take forever. Yes, you're worried you're going to get this piece on the wrong place and then it's going to mess up the rest of the Lego structure. Okay, yes. They're saying that each piece will be handed to you at the right time, okay, with the right instruction, okay? So do not be overwhelmed by the bigger picture, okay? And they're also showing me trust that every single piece is in that box, because that's also one of the fears with Lego, is that what if, you know, sometimes something feels like it's going wrong and you're like, I knew it, this box was incomplete, okay? So they're saying Lego, real Lego has every piece in the box. So trust. In your surrounding factors, I have Queen of Pentacles and the Three of Cups. As I laid out the Queen of Pentacles, what I heard was something new in store for humanity, because we're talking about humanity here. It's something new that's being birthed, okay? We're expectant in a sense. When I clarified it with the Three of Cups, this sort of brought back this idea of something better for humanity and community. And what they're also saying with that is that this is going to be a birth of new communities, okay? What they're also saying is they're actually addressing the negative impact of the media on the human psyche. And this reading, one of the purposes is to undo that with more awareness. Okay, just want to slow down for a second. What they're saying is everything's going to be fine. However, the media, it doesn't serve the media to tell you everything's going to be fine. So there's a lot of fear that's been sort of punched into the system. It's weird that I used the word punched, isn't it? Because usually for that I would have said injected, but punched, there are two things that are coming up for me here. First one was a punch, you know, like a paper punch where there's holes in it. So the point here is that the media's role that they've been playing is to create these holes of uncertainty, gaps, where you then think it's a deep, dark hole. So they leave gaps out of some of the stuff that's shared. And then the second thing, when they say punched, I'm seeing like a boxing punch, like some stuff that's just being forced to create impact and to create a wound. What do you call it when, you know, wind, when someone like punches you? It's just like you get bruised. The point is to disable you, okay, to make you a bit dizzy so you can't see things clearly. And so it's being presented as very scary, even amongst the spiritual community. And they're saying, look at it logically. Yes, it might for some feel sudden. Yes, it might feel like, how do we work with this? But they're saying, like, this is a correction. This is a correction. Another thing they're showing me with this Three of Cups in terms of new communities being birthed, what they're showing me is amongst, let's call them light workers again, amongst light workers, there is a segment or a section, you know, sort of a side, if we could call it that, an aspect that hasn't actually stepped up as yet. And the reason that this aspect has not yet stood up and actually found its voice and been using its voice, creating, let's say, a physical and visible and audible impact, is because it can feel so uncomfortable to speak on a topic where people are not willing yet to hear the truth. And so this aspect of the community is going to be rising. That's interesting, isn't it? Because I believe that this aspect of the community is of the impression, you know, when they look at themselves, is of the impression that there's a fear of being wrong, a fear of upsetting people, a fear of all these things. That aspect of the community is going to be rising, more visible, more heard. It's interesting, this this thought keeps coming up. It's the second time I'm going to just touch on it around what I thought I was coming into when I opened this reading. My hope was for something personal that you'd be able to recognize on a personal level in terms of your personal life. And that came up for me again now, and the response I got was, there's enough of that on YouTube. And it's taking me back to last night. One of the reasons I posted late, I usually don't record at night, but one of the things is that I was scrolling on YouTube and I was spending something like 3 seconds on each video, and I was just like, none of this is connecting. None of this is touching me. None of this feels true. And so I thought, well, let me entertain myself, which is why I did that reading. And so I'm not surprised that this is happening. And partly, I think perhaps I have projected as I've entered the container, outside of the container as I enter, projected in the sense that I want to give you, the audience, what they want to hear, right? I'm human. Thankfully, my containers don't allow me to, do whatever I want. But I feel that very much inside this container, that this does feel personal, and this does feel true, and that this does feel welcome. In the area of what you want the most but fear the most, I have the King of Swords, which I'm not surprised, but more than anything, I feel like, when I've been talking about a community rising with truth and with past fears that are now obviously evolving through community, one gains even more confidence in knowing that you're not alone. Okay, so more, especially because of this card, I feel like I am addressing that aspect of community, of humanity, of the collective that is rising. What I mean by that is I feel like I am speaking to you who has such a connection to humanity, you who knows the truth, you who knows what's going on, you who can see the difference between what is true and what is presented, and you who has not expressed yourself and kept quiet, almost with a sense of irritation at the environment and a sense of why bother with this environment when they don't want the truth. I'm speaking to you. All of these things that unfold happen in divine timing, and I see this almost as a wave coming in. I see this as, it's like it's time for this topic. It's time to touch on this truth, and the world was not ready before. And I'm almost like seeing this as your cue. Not necessarily right now with this reading or whatever. I'm talking about, it was not your cue before. Your cue before, where you sort of belonged and where you were, was in that observation mode and really connecting with your intuition to a point where absolutely nobody can gaslight you, can fool you, can make you doubt what you already know. You know what? You don't even need to listen. You don't even need to listen. It's as if the energy speaks for itself. It's as if like you're busy reading body language and demeanor, and you already know whether the words are true or not, to the point where your ears, your system can even like block out when you're hearing something that's not true, that may sound true to the next person because it's delivered intelligently or in a very soothing way, but you can already tell that what you are being exposed to and what you're standing in front of is false. In the outcome, I have the Four of Swords and the Three of Wands, which to me is talking about just not fighting the plan, not fighting the vision, and allowing the truth to be. That's what I'm seeing out of this. I don't know where the next reading will lead, but if you're looking for something that does feel more practical, personal, it seems that my members' readings have been delivering on that. I don't plan the kind of content I'm going to deliver. I just set the intention to read either for YouTube or for the members. I also can't commit to the future of either of these two. What I can say is that I appreciate the difference, because to me, it's providing for a more dynamic experience with my readings. Thank you all for supporting the channel and for all of your comments. I haven't stopped reading them. I read them all. I also do get the sense more and more that it's the comments that seem to be sort of driving the experience. It's sort of like Six of Cups energy, you know, you express and then I have something to express. And so, you know, expression is how we create that progression with energy. And so please continue to mirror the experience back to me through your comments. I appreciate them so much. Sending you all so much love.